Welcome back. I know it's episode 1 of the new year, but I think overall this 74, right?
74, but season 2, episode 1. Glad to be back.
Me too. Love season 2s in general.
Your voice is a lot deeper. You went through that awkward puberty thing. I'm still looking forward to it.
Most kids go through it at 13. I flip-flopped and went through it at 31.
Yeah, it's
come back like 32.
You're already starting to look like quite the man, if I have to say so myself.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think at this point we're back to our traditionally regular scheduled program, Tuesday and Fridays. We took just one a week the last 2. Enjoy the holidays, things of that nature. But it's good to be back. Happy New Year's.
Yes, Happy New Year, 2021.
My New Year's off to a great start. Can't say the same for the New England Patriots. This is it, buddy. This day has been staring us down on the calendar for quite some time.
They're called New England, but it looks like the same England to me.
Yep. Today we officially laid, at the time of this recording rather, we officially laid the 2020 New England Patriots season to rest. So RIP respectively. Ugh. Finished at a respective 7-9. Not making the playoffs, not doing anything significant. Before we officially move on with the eulogy of the season, I don't know how much we want to get into here. I mean, we talk about him enough. I was actually listening back to some of our older episodes, like over the summer and into like a few weeks of the season. This is pretty much where I pegged him. An 8-8, 7-9 team. I thought, after I was thinking about this too over the weekend. You ever notice like people use like that Seattle game as like an outlier? Like, all right, take out that Seattle game and like Cam really sucks, or like this team really stinks. Mm-hmm. They lost that game. It's not like they blew the Seahawks out by like 40. They still lost. And
the final play of the game was also a representation of the rest of the season.
Sure was. Coming just short.
Yeah, and not being able to draw up a passing play. And Correct. Then Cam keeping the ball and just getting stuffed behind the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm. Foreshadowing is what they call it.
In the poetry world, yes.
And foreshadowing again.
Yes.
Into the poetry world later on. But yeah, I mean, I thought we'd look briefly. I mean, the only really way to look at the season, I think, is a quick, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Fortunately, majority of those things were towards the latter end. I think there was some good. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I think there was some good coming out of this season. I thought the special teams was really good.
The special teams was fucking great.
Jake Bailey, Nick Folk, and I think Matthew Slater had another great year.
Mm-hmm.
He made a handful. I'll put it this way. I remember more Matthew Slater like downing the punts within the 10 than Cam Newton touchdowns. 100% serious.
I feel like we invited bad karma by me saying that was like one of my favorite parts of the game, because ultimately it became like the only enjoyable part of the game.
Good season for it. Damian Harris, I thought had a promising season.
Yep.
Which means we'll probably trade him. Same with Jacoby Myers. But I
think Damiere Byrd had some good games too.
He had a couple of receptions.
Yeah.
Here and there. But yeah, Jake Bailey was balling this year. And I wrote this down. Great quote. Oh, also, if you watch the game today, I'm not being sarcastic. I think they were quite literally like the last broadcast, like on the CBS, like totem pole.
Yep.
So, seriously. And to like 100% understandably as well. It was another all-time kicker, Jay Feely. And I forget the guy who was calling it. Some
Tom McCarthy,
schmo.
who I've never heard of.
Me neither.
Respect to him, but I've never heard of him.
Seems like a nice enough guy.
And Jay Feely is usually the sideline guy for like, they usually put him on, I don't know, like Greg Gumbel's games or Kevin Harlan's games. And they're like, no, you can just call this one if you want.
Just analyze this. You kicked field goals. I don't know. Let us know what you see from Cam in the pocket.
You get it. Just
fucking do it, Jay. All right. It's
watch
week
it
17.
And react naturally. We don't really care. No one's watching.
This game sucked. I mean, I guess the second half was a little exciting. I didn't really watch the second half just because the first half was so awful. But say what you want about the team, and I've said this before, this is without a doubt. Even if they went 11-5, this is the most boring football team I've ever watched, like regularly on a week-to-week basis. They're just not good. But anyway, that guy, not Jay Feely, the other guy, I was like kind of watching it kind of on my phone. And at one point I just heard him say, one of one of the best parts about this Patriots team has been punter Jake Bailey. And that's when I was like, all right, let's put a bow on this thing. That's never a good look for a competitive NFL tackle football team. Anything else good you took out of the season that I failed to mention?
Not really. Gillette Stadium looked nice without fans, I guess.
There's a new perspective on the stadium. Huge stadium, bunch of nice championship banners.
Yep, they got that lighthouse.
That's
Very cool
neat.
Lighthouse.
Very neat. Yeah.
Did you used to work there?
No, I didn't.
No, not in the stadium, but like specifically the lighthouse.
Did not.
Okay.
You?
I did not.
Okay, cool. We should get that guy on, whoever does work in there.
Do you think it's the guy that
who's Willie?
Same guy who the equipment manager also mans the lighthouse?
I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on. The bad. What do we got here? Where do we begin? I think the coaching in general has been pretty terrible. Steve Belichick, more specific. I think the Steve Belichick, Bill Belichick relationship is very interesting. I think he's bad enough as a coach where understandably there's questions about should you be a coach if your dad wasn't the head coach. I don't know. On the good, Steve Belichick's hair, outstanding.
Oh yeah. When do you think was the last time he got a haircut? And does he even? I was gonna say, does he even care? No,
definitely not. He can't. And it's not like you can't use like the pandemic as an excuse because like you're testing frequently, and I'm sure you can get a haircut if you want to safely. That's not a argument. But in all seriousness, a grown man should not have a head of hair that looks like that.
Have you heard him speak?
Not really.
He's
Weird
little
voice.
Bill Belichick. The same, like no nonsense, doesn't answer anything outside of football.
Sounds
very
right.
like Belichick.
Good for him.
It's funny how he lives up to the stereotype of himself, which is just like, yeah, I just created this. I didn't create this child the way that you think I did. Like he was made in a lab, and I removed all personality from him, like from the time he was born.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I injected him with football, and like
Here it was.
It's literally leather that courses through his veins, which I'm jealous of, but that's another story.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought the coaching sucked. And again, aspects of the coaching. I said last time, I kind of stuck up a little bit for Josh McDaniels. I mean, he's extremely limited on what he can do. Like you said, he can't call passing plays in certain scenarios.
That's a hilarious thing to say.
Not inaccurate. True. The other thing I said was one of the bads was case in point, Cam throwing. Like Cam looked awful throwing the football at certain times. And he like, I know he's had some injuries. I'm not even gonna say he's getting older. He's like early 30s. He was a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. Like he's taken a very deep dive in the wrong direction from a throwing the football skill standpoint. Very frustrating to watch. Dive. Yeah, big time. He was more successful at halfback dive than any other sort of passing play. Like I was saying today, like the epitome of the season. I remember looking up and watching one drive today. I think I texted you. It was first down was literally a like check down pass to James White, overthrew him. Next pass was a dropped interception. And then third down was, I think he got sacked by literally like 3 or 4 guys. I'm just like, all right, here comes Jake Bailey. And I think that's when that quote came out actually about the best part of this team. So yeah, not good. Doesn't sound like he's coming back next year. I'm okay with that. I've been supporting that move for quite some time. The only thing I wish to see today was to see some Jarrett Stidham. That might be that might be on the bad as well. We learned nothing about Jarrett Stidham. So I think he has to go.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we do? Like, there was no rhyme or reason why he shouldn't have played at least a half today. I don't think he played at all today. I don't think he had any passing stats. It was him and what's his name? Jacoby Myers had passing stats too because he threw a touchdown to Cam Newton. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew they're going to fucking blow him out. Cam was going to have numbers, which I'm happy. I'm happy the story came out before the game about them parting ways after the season. Because in that case, I mean, I hope it's enough for Cam to get a job next year somewhere else. I prefer him not to be on the team I follow and care about. And then, not seeing anything from Stidham. I did write that down. And then, as we said at the beginning of the recording, finishing close games. Like they just suck at finishing close games.
God.
Excuse me, finishing close games on the winning end.
Yes.
They finished a number of close games. They just happened to lose all of them.
Finished all 16 of them somehow.
Yeah. Seattle, they could have won. I still think Kansas City, they could have won.
Yep.
And that was one of the worst performances of pro football I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes, it was.
From beginning to end, dude. We talked before. Those red zone, I literally remember, because that might have been one of the Tuesday night games, right? It was like one of the one-off. Like
I think it was one of
games.
the first ones.
Yeah. I vividly remember sitting on my couch, throwing something, a water bottle or something, when Hoyer took that sack, the first time Hoyer took a sack in the red zone. Or I think he fumbled. It resulted in 0 points no matter what. And then he did it again. I was equally as frustrated, but not as much as the first time, because then I was like, okay, this is expected. And then Stidham came in. I think he threw a pick on his first play, but it got overturned. And then threw a touchdown to Harry.
And people were like, ooh.
About time. Yep. And then they lost. What was the other one? Denver, they could have won. Buffalo, they definitely could have won. Denver, they could have won. And if not for that Chiefs game, that was the worst performance of an NFL team I've ever seen in my entire life. That was Cam's first game back from COVID. Yep. That was so bad. And it was a one-score game. They could have won. And that was the game when people argued Belichick should have challenged the play on James White when he was down or short of the first down.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They lost. San Fran was just a blowout. That was on the ugly. So the Buffalo game, yes. Here's the other one. The Jets game, they should have lost that close, but they won that one close. And then it was just like, fuck it.
On a long field goal.
About the rest. Yep.
So I was fine with it.
Yep. Oh, and the Texans. That was the other one. They should have beat the Texans, where they played terribly. They beat the Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
Close
I don't know
game.
how the hell that happened.
Beat the Ravens comfortably. So they beat the Jets comfortably today, and they beat the Ravens comfortably.
Yep.
I think that was it. Oh, they beat the Raiders. The Dolphins. Even week one was close. It was like 10 or it was less than 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So the only real blowouts were a win against the Jets and the loss against San Fran. Oh no, and they got their fucking doors blown off against Buffalo on that Monday night game a couple weeks ago.
I'm gonna have to take a look at the season opener, because do you remember if he threw any touchdowns against the Dolphins?
He ran for 2.
Okay. So maybe that's why we weren't like, it didn't cross our minds yet, because then in week 2 was Seattle, and he looked good in the second half because their defense blows.
Yep. And
I think they were just playing prevent, I want to say.
Yeah, you're right. He ran well against the Dolphins and they won. So that was the narrative, was like, oh, cool. We have a mobile quarterback. We all just assumed he would eventually he would just exactly dual threat, as in you would eventually throw touchdowns too. The second half of that dual threat just never caught up as well as the other one.
No, he was threatening to us, if anything.
Yeah, because in Seattle, he threw the ball well. He beat the Raiders, and then he got COVID. And then it was all downhill from there. But I don't know. It is what it is. He'll get signed. His career's not over. He'll go somewhere else. I think at this point, I'm hoping he understands it'll probably be a backup role. If he comes out this year again saying, I'm not signing as a non-starter, then sorry. I don't know what else to tell you. Then the ugly. Already mentioned San Fran. Already mentioned Denver. Already mentioned Houston. You think I'm going to say N'Keal Harry, but unfortunately, I think he's in a category of his own. It's an insult to ugly people to put N'Keal Harry in the ugly category.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Go ahead.
But I did still put him there. So he's just, there's nothing we haven't said already that we need to say. He had another stinker today, like 2 or 3 catches. It's done. It's got to be done. If he comes back next year, he could come back next year and have a 3,000-yard season, and I still hate the draft pick. Speaking of draft picks, here's the other ugly part. Going back to that Jets game, it's just completely wasting an opportunity in the draft too. Mm-hmm. You're right where you shouldn't be, right in the middle. You had a chance at a top 10, and then you beat the Jets, and that was probably the worst. Looking back, that was probably the worst game of the year when they beat the Jets by 3, when they had no need to.
I got some ugliness.
That's all I had. Yeah, go ahead.
Got a little bit of ugliness to contribute here. Basically, the same thing was that because they couldn't decide, or because they committed to like trying to actually make
7
the
and 9.
playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gave us no reason to watch the last month of the season or whatever it was, 2 to 3 weeks, whatever it was. Even if it was one game, it's like we've never been in that situation in 20 years where I've watched a meaningless Pats game, unless it was meaningless because they had already determined like their seating or whatever.
Correct.
So that was just weird to not have football to look forward to. Fantasy season is over. We're not going to get to the playoffs. We're also not going to get a great draft pick. The regular, the remaining teams, there's no fucking fans in the stadium. So it's like just all in all, fucking sucked the last month.
Yeah. Today definitely sucked. The last couple of weeks sucked just because like anytime there was at least a path to the playoffs, okay, it's worth watching. I mean, is what it is. Like we used to watch Celtics games for a path to the 8th seed. It's the same difference. We knew they were going to get smoked either way. But yeah, once like that mathematically hit, it was like, oof, okay, this kind of sucks. But I don't know, whatever.
You're rooting for the Bucks?
I guess. I think so. I'd like to see it. At this point, I'd like to see it. At this point, I have no reason to root against Tom Brady. Like, what's the point? Why would I?
I think that's crazy that people do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's if Tom Brady went to like the Bills or the Dolphins and like led them to the playoffs, maybe a little different, but he couldn't have separated himself from the Patriots organization anymore. You know what I mean? No. Like he chose a good scenario for himself. He's playing incredibly well. He's done enough for this town in this franchise for the last 20 years. I honestly think he can do whatever I think he would have had the right to do whatever he wanted. He could have gone to the Jets if he wanted to. But he didn't. So yeah, I'd like to see what they do. I think I saw if Washington football team wins tomorrow, they play at Washington. They play at the NFC East winner. So if they lose and the Giants are in, that's going to be a very interesting game. Oh, Tom Brady at Meadowlands in round 1 of the playoffs.
Quite the narrative.
Quite the narrative indeed. That'd be an interesting game. Wouldn't be surprised if old number 10 straps it up one more time.
I would say I'm going Bucks probably 1, but then very close 1. I have 2 1As. I'd like to see the Browns succeed and the Titans.
I don't at all. I want to see the Browns lose ASAP. I don't like that team at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Baker.
I would disagree. Oh God, I would hate that.
Oh shit, Leahy, I hope you're listening.
Yeah, I don't like him at all. Let me check real quick. What happened today? Let's go a little playoff. I think most of the games are wrapping up. Oh, Kansas City lost today.
Hold on. Is anyone in the NFC East out of it?
Yeah, Cowboys and Eagles.
They were eliminated today? Oh, shit.
Correct. Washington has to win tomorrow. So if Washington wins tomorrow, I'm pretty sure I heard wins tiebreaker. Yeah, Washington has to win tomorrow. Otherwise, they're tied with the Giants, and I think it says Giants have tiebreaker. So like I said, Giants went in today with a chance to make the playoffs. That's how fucked up the NFC is. It's gonna be a 6-win team. I don't think that's ever happened. I remember when the Seahawks were 7-9, and that was like a huge deal. This is awful.
That team terrible. At least had some redeemable players. I'm pretty sure Marshawn.
That was the beast mode run.
Yep.
That was the.
They beat the Saints, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy, that's tough. That's gonna be a tough look, especially with a 7-9 Patriots team. I'm sure everyone's gonna be chirping about that back home. What else? Yeah. So Green Bay clinched 1. New Orleans, Seattle. NFC East is going to get 4, and then Tampa Bay clinched 5. Rams 6. What the fuck? Wow, a lot of things shifted around today. Bears made the playoffs at 7. Rams and Bears made the playoffs.
Like getting their shit pushed in by Aaron Rodgers, they backed into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. So Bears and Saints, and then Rams and Seahawks. That'll be a good game. And then Tampa Bay and I don't know. Washington plays Philly tomorrow. I don't know. That'll be tough. Battle it out for the NFC East. And then the AFC. Like I was going to say today, KC is 14-2 because they lost today. If they won today, which they could have, because I assume they just weren't trying, I think that's one of the quietest 15-1 seasons I can remember in a long time. I always just assumed the Chiefs had like a couple of losses all year. But no, they're very much very good.
I would have guessed that
And
they were like 12-3 coming into
yeah,
today if you didn't tell me that.
they're very much very good, and I think they're going to roll through. Buffalo's good too. Pittsburgh, I think, stinks. Indy made it. They're going to get smoked. Baltimore made it at 5. Damn.
What a waste of a team in the playoffs.
In Tennessee. Oh, and Tua blew it today too. He got his shit pushed in. Big time. That sucks. 10-6 and missed the playoffs. What are you going to do?
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the way that the seeding works this year, it's only the first seed gets a bye, and then 2 through 7 play in the first weekend.
Yep. So we got Bills, Titans. No, excuse me. Bills, Browns.
Ooh, I'm not going to know who to root for.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one. That'd be a toughie. Wow. Bills and Browns are playing each other and the Patriots are at home. That's wild.
That's 2020.
Never in my imagination.
And I'm Barbara Walters.
But let's are you ready to put the Patriots to rest?
I am. I should have come dressed in all black.
It's okay. Oh, I forgot to mention the beginning of the show. So after this reading, another issue of poetry by Priya, we were joined by an old friend of the program, Scott Rochelle, President CEO of the NBA Retired Players Association. That'll be a fun conversation. So let's do this. Let's get into our poem. Let's put these guys to rest. Crazy concept here. Let them rest in peace. And then we'll move on to our conversation with Scott Rochelle.
All righty.
This season 2, I assume, is dedicated to the Patriots.
Yes.
Who recently passed. Okay.
Everything that we do this year for the remainder of the year is perfect. Yeah. We're doing for Foxborough.
All right. Here we go.
All righty. Let me just mute my TV real quick, just so there's
that'd be courteous.
Just so there's no background noise. All right. And I wrote this. This is on my computer, so
okay.
Hopefully I can focus.
Please.
All right. Okay. What a year it was in Foxborough, Mass. The local football team played like an unwiped ass. We thought we could do it with Cam Jarrell Newton. Turns out there was no reason for us to keep rooting. The offseason started with Brady's departure. We really missed the mark. Bill Belichick is no Archer. So, of course, we thought, let's see what Stidham can do. It turns out he was only the depth chart number 2. And I don't mean number 2 like our pal Lamar Jackson. I just mean that Jared would see limited action. We signed Mr. Newton. He was no more than a name. Trust me.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
We had some key guys sit out the season. It's COVID after all. I'd say that's a good reason. But if you thought that our offense was already trash, every Sunday it felt like I had a weird rash. We had Myers and Bird, and of course N'Keal Harry, but that last guy makes me want to drink bleach instead of dairy. Catches were attempted, passes were thrown. Balls were always short, even when coverages were blown. Cam threw off his back foot. Balls were tipped at the line. Things were upside down. Shout out to 69. He stayed in the pocket and took so many sacks. That's one trophy case that won't be adding any plaques. Oh, and Josh McDaniels had his head in his ass, calling runs on 3rd and long. Why wouldn't you just pass? The lone bright spot was Damian Harris. But as soon as he played well, the play calling wasn't the fairest. They ran the option play right into the ground. Cam usually kept it, and he usually went down. And I don't mean he went down in the romantic sense. I mean that he looked like a cheap Carson Wentz. We ran some trick plays for minor completions, but nothing that would make me produce any secretions. Honestly, we should have just run some flea flickers, and our 2 best players were the punter and the kicker. Any lead more than 3 was a guaranteed L. Plenty L's, few W's. That's all this team could spell. Even Steph Gilmore wanted to be elsewhere. Will we pay him this offseason, or should the Pats apply for welfare? And who could forget that game versus the Chiefs? Watching Brian Hoyer makes me produce several queefs. With time running out at the end of the half, He took a sack with no timeouts. You do the math. Opponents knew what to look for. There was no fooling them. It probably wouldn't have mattered even if we had Julian. So next year, what do we think we will see? No Stidham for sure. And probably no Lombardi.
Well said.
Thank you.
Here's our interview with NBA Retired Players Association President CEO Scott Rochelle. Oh shit, my phone might die. I have the notes on my phone. 6%.
So anyways, I said I hate Scott Rochelle.
Jesus.
Turn up my headphones.
What's up, Scott?
What's going on? What's up, partner?
Sorry,
Can you hear
I'm
us?
late. I can hear you. Sorry, I'm a little late. Technical difficulties, you know. See my light. Oh, there we go.
Oh, look at that.
We can all.
Oh, now we're talking. All right, here we go. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
Good. It's good to see you. Good to have you back. Let's get right into it. I'd like to address this first, if that's okay. And I think you brought this up in our group chat earlier. The first time, in case you don't know yet, so we're joined by Scott Rochelle, rejoined by Scott Rochelle, President and CEO of the NBA Retired Players Association. Our conversation last time was pretty business focused. It wasn't as fun as it could have been.
We were buttoned up.
That wasn't my fault. It was mostly Sophie's fault. For whatever reason. So let's do this. I do want to ask you one question to kick this thing off because I thought it was really interesting. I was listening to, I don't know if you listened to this one, Sophie. Tyler had an episode towards the end of the year where he just kind of like recapped on some of like the interviews you guys have done. It was really good. And what made me think about last episode, one thing he said was, he's like, all these retired players, you usually don't hear about them unless they're like homeless, broke, dead, or like just dealing with some shit. I'm going to ask you this, man. Who's like a couple guys that either you work with directly or you don't, who are just doing cool shit right now that us normal folk would have really no idea about?
You know, in the information age, it's hard for anyone to do anything silently. Everything gets amplified. So, you know, Andre Iguodala was out in Silicon Valley doing all the tech work and investing. There are other guys who are doing that kind of stuff, but you know, for their own purposes, they've kept it low key for their own, you know, privacy, how they want to do it. But you know, it's tough to find guys who are doing cool stuff that no one really knows about. You know, Baron Davis is doing amazing work in the entrepreneurial field. He's been surrounding himself with people who are business minded, who are, you know, VCs who are putting money along with his money into really cool concepts. And so constantly getting buzz about Baron Davis. And obviously you saw that he and Master P are looking to buy Reebok from Adidas right now. So, you know, those
we're actually the two bidding against them.
Ugly.
Yeah, keep that on the DL a little
Yeah, we're bidding against them.
Well, unless you have a plan on how to activate AI, I would drop a bid.
Our bid isn't very high at all.
Yeah,
so
it's not being considered.
Right.
We like to start low ball and then go from there. But yeah, I saw Baron Davis doing his thing. What else? What the hell did I just talk to you guys about today? Oh, the expansion teams. What are your thoughts on some of the rumors about the expansion teams coming back?
Man, the expansion buzz has been going on for so long.
I know.
And you know, there's some cities that really want it. Like Louisville really wants a team. Dan Issel, George Tinsley, a lot of the guys who had ABA roots in Louisville, and people on the college side who want to bring a team there are really excited and want to make that happen. I personally haven't heard much buzz inside the NBA about that. I mean, I think it's really an external push. Seattle is obviously the front runner in everyone's mind. However, you know, you have to be sure that the new hockey stadium is up to snuff as to what they want to do. There's some other cities in there that are going to get some real attention. Las Vegas being one of them for some obvious reasons. They have the infrastructure and the stadium and all the things that you're looking for that build a team. The one thing you have to consider is it too much too fast for Las Vegas? They've gone from no professional teams to two in very short order. There's a formula in the way you do that, and some of the people in Las Vegas are concerned that adding NBA now would be a little too fast. There's also some international ideas around the NBA that have been floating around. So If I were a betting man, which I am to a certain degree, I think Seattle. I think Seattle is the easiest choice.
Yeah,
people out there want their team back, and it was a contending team. It was a really good team. You just didn't have a stadium. You didn't have a stadium that the NBA was going to recruit. So, now they have a stadium out there that they are able to prove that it's up to snuff. I see that being the front of there.
Yeah,
and no shade to Louisville. I mean, Louisville is not a major metropolitan city. It's not going to. It's not going to drive the economic needle for you the way Seattle will.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like it'd be nearly impossible to compete with college sports in Louisville. No.
Yeah, it's established. It's what the fan base really, relies on. Now, all those things come into play when you bring a team to town. So, again, Dan is one of those guys that are pushing hard and they're really active and they're advocating, they're raising money, doing all the things you're supposed to do. I think it's an uphill fight when you look at a couple of the cities that are things.
Yeah, I think Seattle would be the easiest trend. Like they've been chomping at the bit for a team since like the Thunder, like since they lost the Sonics.
Yeah.
So do you think would they come back as the Sonics, or you think they'd restart? Or something? You do?
Why would you bring another team back to Seattle area?
It was Soapy's idea. I don't know. He just told me to ask you. I didn't think it was a good idea.
Well, since you guys were bidding, I figured you all had an idea to plan. You can't try to buy Reebok and not also start Reebok sponsored team in Seattle. That sounds like a brilliant idea, right?
That's a good thought. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Do you want to join the team? We'll let you have like 1%.
1%. Okay.
1%.
I'm counting. Look, I'm counting the numbers of what NBA teams are valued at.
That's actually not a bad deal. Yeah.
It's more than I have right now. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, fair. Seattle would be dope. Vegas, I don't know. Vegas, to your point, a lot too soon. Plus, it's like I know Soapy has been maybe a time or two. Have you been to Vegas, Scott? Are you a big Vegas guy? I've never been.
Yeah, you know what? We do Vegas. I do Vegas a lot, personally, professionally. But we have our, summer league is out there. NBA has a real big presence.
Oh yeah,
there.
That's a good point.
I mean, you got to figure it. Last full summer we had with real activation, we had the NBA summer league, you had the WNBA All-Star game, and then you had USA basketball that they do their camp out there. So the entire summer is basically all basketball, all NBA. You tie in the AAU. Tournaments and things of that nature, and then you've got a great program in UNLV there. It's basketball central for the West Coast. Then you have I think if I remember correctly, I want to say Pac-12 West Coast Conference had their tournament championships in Vegas, so it's not new. It's not new to Vegas. I think that the Raiders have a brand new $1 billion stadium that no fans are in this year. Let's let them put some fans in the stadium and figure out if they're gonna work there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bring an NBA team in. Again, I'm speaking on this because I love Vegas. I would love to have an NBA team there. I do, again, probably a month and a half out of my life in Vegas with basketball-related activities each year. I could have another month with NBA stuff. That's cool. But realistically, I just don't know if it's going to work yet. And, fingers crossed. But, the Golden Knights had a great start. Golden Knights, inaugural year, go to the Stanley Cup finals.
Yeah. Plus the WNBA,
let's give them away.
Yeah, the WNBA already has the best possible team name anyway with the Las Vegas Aces.
This is true.
That's it.
This is true.
I don't know how you compete with that, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm interested to see. I don't know. Like they don't need another team, but if anyone should get it, I'd like to see Seattle get a team. I think that'd be dope. I think that'd be fun to kind of bring it back. But
it's all the culture, man. I mean, you have a franchise that was exciting, great history, great players. It dies when you don't have the team there anymore. Bringing that back is going to be the fans will remember. The fans who were there will appreciate it. They'll flock to it, and I think the rest of the country they'll absorb that energy the same way everyone when the Bobcats switched over to the Hornets. It's like, there's that familiarity, there's that feel, that nostalgia that we used to have. All right, let's go. Because the Bobcats they were an NBA team, they're an expansion team. Everyone kind of looked at them kind of sideways, like that just doesn't fit. Like, what's
very
going
weird.
on there? Yeah. And so the Charlotte name change did a lot more than I think people realized when it came to recognition, the ability to follow a team, get involved, and then bring back all the old Charlotte Hornets who were living in the area. Those guys still live in Charlotte. Those guys are still active there. They want to come back and be a part of the team that they were a part of. I think the Seattle Supersonics will have the same thing. I mean, so Sean Kemp's still in Seattle. Sam Perkins still has a house out there. You know, Detlef is in their area. Those guys are still active in that community. You can use that in order to really build your fan base back up.
Yeah. Patrick Ewing, another Seattle Supersonic legend. I'm sure he's still out there too.
It always hurts so bad to hear about some of those final year guys. Ooh. Like you see the
that was
picture
a
of Patrick Ewing in the Orlando. You know, he's in the Orlando.
Or that's the other one too. Yeah.
Yep. Dude,
my favorites of always.
Hakeem on the Raptors.
I was just gonna say that was one of my favorites. Hakeem on the Raptors. Shaq on the Celtics has always been one of my favorites. That just looked funny.
Shaq on half. He's
been in half the NBA.
Jerseys. Yeah.
Very good point. What else? Vince Carter's similar. I think Vince Carter's been on quite a road trip the last like 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
Trevor Ariza's been on every fucking team.
Yeah, I think quite literally. But yeah, anyway, so go ahead.
In terms of the Seattle thing, Scott, do you think there's any chance that they would just take the Pelicans, move that franchise there, like name them the Sonics, and then put the real expansion team in New Orleans?
You know,
only because like they would already have the star power.
I'll put it this way: you don't move a team out of a market to put another team in there.
Yeah.
If you're moving them out of New Orleans, you're moving out because you don't want anything to do with that market anymore. I'll throw another one at you that is a potential move, in my opinion, from what I've seen. And that's Memphis. I see Memphis as ripe for relocation.
To where? Back to Canada?
I have heard, no sources, but I have heard that there's real regret for taking the team out of Vancouver.
They had such great jerseys.
Hindsight, it fit, right? But hindsight's 2020. But I do believe there is some regret there in moving them out of Vancouver. And I think Vancouver, if they're smart, Vancouver's gonna make a little noise as well and say, hey, you know, you got I don't know how many of your NBA stars from Canada now. Like Canadian basketball is on the rise. Toronto won a championship. Let's give it another run. Mostly it comes down to who wants to put the money up for the team, which is essentially what they're looking to do is find the people who want to put the money up for teams that, you know, no longer cost $500 million, $500 million. They're in the billions now, even small markets. So, you know, I hope it happens. I want to see them grow and expand. And the growth and expansion of the NBA means growth and expansion of the NBRPA, which is great for us and what we want to do. But, you know, it needs to be smart, it needs to be calculated, and it's going to be that way. So although the buzz has started, it may take a couple of years.
I think I have an idea for I always thought that was weird that like when they first played there, they may play in a different arena now, but at first they were playing in like the Pyramid. I want to say it was the name of the arena. So it's like the Memphis Grizzlies playing in a pyramid. That makes a lot of sense. If they go back to Seattle though, you think they should have you ever been to Pike's Market?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For sure. So Dan, I don't know if you've been there. You're not a huge fish guy, but it's where it's just like a
is that where they toss like the fish?
Yeah, throwing fish back.
Oh yeah, that's Marshawn. I know that.
They should do that at halftime of Sonics games. Easy marketing.
I've argued they should do that at halftime of most games, but specifically Seattle. The more fish, the better, usually, from what I've seen.
Yeah, you guys. I can tell how young you guys are. You don't need gimmicks and fun when the team is good. Man.
Oh, that's fair. Very fair point.
I'll tell you this. Bulls games used to be amazing when I was a kid. I'm older than you guys. Bulls games were so much fun as a kid because the team was good and you wanted to watch a game.
That does sound fun.
Jordan leaves, the Bulls take a downturn, man. The whole stadium is a whole festival. You got, clowns juggling balloons over here. You got people over here and fireworks. It's like, man, this team must really suck.
Yes, that's a phenomenal. I'd like to see that on a graph, like the correlation of like how shitty your team is with the like halftime entertainment,
in-game entertainment,
in-game entertainment. Because we talked about that with Tyler. He was on a couple weeks ago talking about. Soapy was like, hey, is it true that they have haircuts at the Hawks games? And I thought he was being sarcastic. And then Tyler's like, Yeah, I think I remember that. But they would do like Migos would have a fucking concert at halftime. And, like Young Jeezy would do the opening announcements.
So that's different though.
Like all this
That's
other
different.
stuff.
That's different because that was embracing, the city and the culture.
Yeah.
So Grant Hill is one of our
Uh-huh.
one of our board members, and so he taught because the barbershop was his idea, and
Mm.
that was around taking a team that was there, known in the city, and bringing some culture around it to ramp up that fan base. And again, that back when they did that, the team wasn't competitive. Now they're competitive and they have haircuts, so you get the best of both worlds. But that stadium, like if you ever get to the stadium is absolutely amazing now. They have a Top Golf, swing suite, all the different fun you want to have in there.
Mm.
I think it depends on the city. Atlanta is the kind of city where you have to do extra because Atlanta is just an extra ass city, right?
Yeah.
You just have to go to the nth degree when you go to the A. And I think that the fitting appeal now, the team being good and all these extra things going on is a perfect storm. Now, if you go to Milwaukee and you put a barbershop in the stadium, it's probably not going to work. But the cultural fit there was really good. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
That would work in Milwaukee if you wanted to get a bowl cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
It'd be like one of those old like quartet like barbershops. Like the guys like singing and fucking with like the matching aprons and stuff.
So if I'm in Milwaukee, I put a Cabela's in there, right? You put a little shooting range.
Just like hunting.
Exactly.
You can just go shoot deers at halftime, and then
we're joking right now. They may have a Cabela's in the stadium.
I wasn't joking.
Check it out.
No, I wasn't joking at all.
Well,
one of the better.
Celtics,
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say with the Celtics, when they were good, they didn't even have cheerleaders. They didn't have cheerleaders until
leprechauns.
Like the last couple years of Red Auerbach's life, when they they happened to suck.
His dying request.
Yeah, I think he was
girls on the sideline.
Do not let girls dance in my arena. And then eventually they got it, but I think a lot of it had to do with
it killed him.
Stuck for so long that they needed to branch out and get some like in arena like entertainment and shit.
I mean, with the price of tickets going up, you have to provide some sort of entertainment. So if you're down 35 points in the third quarter, people need something to look at.
Sure.
People need something to entertain, and they're just going to go home. So you got to have like your timeout entertainment. You got to have the kid, the babies racing up the sidelines and stuff like that.
Yeah,
all that stuff comes in. There are agencies that if you go to every game has the same type of promos. But if you're in a stadium where all that stuff is happening, you're probably not watching good basketball.
Yeah,
it's crazy because Dan at 3 straight games won the the trivia contest, the fan trivia contest. He's got the TD Garden record. It's crazy.
I thought you were gonna say something about a kiss cam, but yeah, that too. Yeah, trivia contest. Well, I remember back in Detroit in like 2004, they had a full out brawl, like a Royal Rumble type of fight at the end of the game, the 2-minute timeout against the Pacers towards the end. And that was about as damn realistic as I've ever seen any sort of in-game entertainment.
Yeah, that changed the NBA. Like the NBA, the way they operated after that was just different. It's like, you got guys, the 90s guys were scuffling and pushing. There was some punches thrown, but you go into the stands and guys go into the stands, fans come onto the court. Yeah, that nothing was the same after that. That was insane. I watched that live on TV. I think I was watching a sports bar.
It was on ESPN.
Like, oh man, yeah, it was like nationally
televised.
It's like a Wednesday, Thursday night. It's like, this is cool. Oh, look at Ron Artest being Ron Artest. Okay, all right,
classic Ron.
No, it's just like, man, this is bad. So you could just figure like David Stern somewhere, just like boiling red, like why is this happening? But then after that, obviously, after that, things change, and internally and externally. We haven't had one of those since. Now no one's fighting. I mean, I think Lonzo Ball had the quote. He was like, Lonzo got criticized for not jumping into a fight. He was like, man, this is the NBA. No one's actually fighting. It's like, night and day from what was that, 2005, 2006?
Yeah, something like that. I remember a great one was somewhat maybe like within 5 years. Remember like the LA Clippers
and the Rockets?
The TNT guys. Yes. That was one of the better NBA on TNT segments of all time when they were just shitting on Chris Paul. I forget the real story, but someone like calling the cops or something. And then
because they were complaining that Chris Paul was was because that was his first game back as a Rocket coming back to the Clippers. And they were saying that after the game, he tried to get into the Clippers locker room. So like Blake Griffin called the cops or something.
Yeah, there was some on-court scuffle and Chris Paul was out there. You know, Chris gets a bad rep because he's like union president. He's like the father figure of the league. But yeah,
he's the
that was
RA.
bad. Basically. That's probably the best analogy
cool.
I've heard.
Yep,
yeah, right
after.
Right.
Cool guy, but he's got to keep an eye on some shit. And then you have Kyrie, who is also, what's he, the president or like the Speaker of the House or something? Kyrie has a role, right? Seriously, in the players' union.
He does. So they're like 8 vice presidents in different different roles in the governance structure. But yeah, he's one of those. He's one of those guys on that board.
What are your thoughts on Kyrie Irving in general and some of his media opinions?
Kyrie's always been different. He's always moved to the beat of a different drummer. Yeah. So, at times it comes across as being negative or, anti-team or anti-establishment. He's just different. If you're around him, you see that he just moves differently. He's just a different type of guy. He thinks differently. That's not always bad. I think that we've learned how to allow him to be different in his space as well as be different in our space, understanding that he's not trying to cause a problem, but he's just going to see things differently. He's going to speak his mind. And I think that is probably the most important thing that can happen this year in Brooklyn is that people give him the space to be himself. If you continue to try to put him in this box of who you want him to be, he's going to rebel and he's going to be more of himself and it's going to cause more problems. I think he's a good guy. I think he has great intentions. I think the things that he says can be either misconstrued. And I think sometimes he just says shit just because he knows everyone's paying attention. Everyone's going to freak out. If all eyes are on you, then you may act out a little bit and go crazy because all eyes are on you. But some of the things he said at the beginning of the pandemic and some of the things that he was advocating for, people discounted and said, oh, well, Kyrie's just trying to cause a problem. He was absolutely right about everything.
He was. And I was one of those people who at first was like, this guy's off his fucking rocker. But to your point, most of it came to fruition, unfortunately. But most of it did. And that is one where I did step back and say, okay, and again, remember, we're Celtics fans. So it's a little different on the court and off the court. But as far as off the court goes, I gave him a pass for that one. He's just different. I don't know. He kind of pisses me off sometimes, but he can ball. I mean, that's the only thing he has going for him. As pissed off as you get, it's like you can't argue dropping 30 and 15 on a nightly basis. So
no, he's playing at a high level. He's figured some things out. Yeah. I was frustrated when they brought up his comments about Kevin Durant versus LeBron. I was frustrated at that because I felt like that was another one of those situations where he said something, everyone jumped on it and wanted to make it a negative thing.
Yeah.
They completely forgot the praise he gave LeBron and the things he said once he left LeBron and he came to the Celtics and he looked at your horrible team and he said, man, I understand what LeBron was going through. I understand what he was trying to do because I can't get these guys to do anything right. And at that point, he understood where LeBron was coming from in Cleveland.
So did you just compare the 2018 Celtics to the 2007 Cavs? Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Interesting.
All
right.
I did.
Fair.
I did.
Someone mistake Al Horford for Big Z, but no big deal.
At the end of the day, my story stands up. He understood.
I know. I'm just fucking.
What it means to bring everything you have and still not understand the leadership piece of it or the give and take of it all. He's growing up. These guys are young, man.
Exactly. He's a fucking kid.
He did 1 year at Duke, and then he's in the league. You forget how young he really was.
And then he's in the finals. Come on. Yeah. I'm with you. I'll give him that. I agree with that because I've said the same thing. It's like, I think it's easier said than done. When you play along someone like LeBron and you watch him every day, he's good and Kyrie's skilled enough to say, oh, I can do that. It's my turn. Let me go do it. Easier said than done. Plus, Celtics were a very young, immature team. I'll give him that. I said the same thing about LeBron. Like Sophie and I talk about the decision quite often on the show. I don't know why, and I think someone else I heard say this too. I forget who it was, but it's like as much heat as he got for going to Miami, what the fuck else do you want this guy to do? Like, he got that 07 team we were just joking about to the finals. He needed to go to Miami to learn how to win championships. He did that. And then he came back to Cleveland and did it again. Like, what else do you want this guy to do? Like, that's why it gets frustrating.
The frustration wasn't going to Miami. It was the way it was done.
Yeah.
It was the production and the fact that Dan Gilbert found out the same time I found out. That's wrong. Because I haven't written one check to LeBron James, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So why am I finding out at the same time he finds out? There's a way you do it. Again, there's youth involved though.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a firm opinion that you don't really grow into an adult until around 35, where you've actually been through enough shit where you're just like, wow, I think I figured some things out. When you haven't figured anything out, but you think you have.
Correct.
These guys are making these decisions in early 20s. They're doing things at a very high level, and so mistakes are going to happen. Those mistakes were made. I think going to Miami was brilliant for LeBron. It pissed me off as a Bulls fan because he took away, you know, the opportunity for us to kind of rebuild our team and put a banner in the stands before Derek's knee shattered. But you know, when you look back on it, it was great. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of him taking Bosh and joining Wade down there. That in my opinion took the balance of power and created what we have today as a people setting up super teams. I didn't like.
I wonder where we got that idea from.
Right, but I will say that, you know, looking back on it, the move was good for him. The way he handled it was differently. But if you see the moves he makes now and the way he handles PR and communication, things like that, he's learned from it.
Oh, yeah.
And so what is LeBron? No, he's about 35, 36 now. And, you know, he's
Wash King.
He figures things out, but he's still a kid. He still hasn't really figured things out. So there'll be more mistakes and there'll be other things he does. But I think we have to stop looking at these guys the way we see them as like fully grown adults making big decisions where they can't make a mistake, because it happens. You know, I look back and I wish Kyrie and LeBron could have stayed together and continued to play together, because when they had it going, they were extremely dangerous. And, you know, look, I'm not a big fan of super teams, but a Batman Robin situation where you've got two guys who complement each other and really play well together, I've always loved seeing that. You know, go back in time, all the great teams had that 1-2 punch. Now we got the 3-4 punch, which can be too much, but
far too many.
But that was good for the game. It was good for the East Coast, so that the East Coast could have a powerful, contender each year. Because if the East Coast doesn't get it together, West Coast takes it all forever. It's just worked out that way. Yeah, it's worked out that way.
And one of the next 1-2 punches coming up is right in your division, the Pistons with Jeremy Grant and Mason Plumlee. You must be worried.
You know, I can't get upset about anything Pistons now that they got the Jordan logo on their jersey.
Oh, bro, I saw that too. Yeah, and it's like gray on gray too.
To fucking camouflage that shit in there though.
Yeah,
no, it's on there. It's on there, and it's great because it brings back the rivalry of old. It brings back the nostalgia, and it lets you know that 20 years can pass and they still hate each other, and it still matters.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Which is great for me.
And as obsolete as your team is, I think they're just as obsolete.
Bulls are better than the Pistons.
Okay, so they're more obsolete than you guys.
Obsolete as in like recognition?
Yeah.
Or just ability to win.
Ability
to win. Story. Yeah. Bulls are better than the Pistons.
Yeah, the Pistons and the Bulls are they're years and years away from having.
There's bigger fish to fry.
Competition, right?
Let's do this. Let's talk about some good players in the NBA. So let's talk not All-Star Weekend, Hall of Fame induction, whatever. Yeah. So the 2020 class has moved to 2021. Last I heard, unless you have updates for us, is that still on plan to take place in Mohegan Sun later this spring?
Yeah, it's supposed to happen sometime in May. In Mohegan Sun, and as far as I know, we're gonna still crank out another class within the same year and just try to get back onto some sort of schedule.
Yeah,
because typically enshrinement happens in August, and, you know, August, end of August, early September, and then you know, you get back, you get into football season and all that good stuff. So
right.
it's
so what do you guys think the makeup of the one in May is going to be? Is it going to be pretty small, like for COVID reasons and stuff, or is that still kind of being worked out?
The one in May is already set. So that's Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Kobe, and all those guys.
I meant like from like a fan, not fans, but like like who's going to be there and shit like that. Like what's it going to look like compared to the traditional one at Springfield?
So it got moved to Mohegan Sun because it was going to be so massive, right? Okay. Pre-COVID, it was going to be a really big deal. Like Springfield, Massachusetts is not a big bustling town.
Certainly not.
On TV, the ceremony looks like it's like this nice big. It's just an orchestra hall, and it's not super big, and it gets filled up no matter who's in the class every year. Yeah. You put one of those guys in, Kobe, KG, or Tim Duncan. Well, Kobe and KG. Tim Duncan he's a good name, but he's not like a huge personality when they bring huge people out. He's just a quiet dude. Sure. You put either one of those guys in, you have to understand it's going to be a lot bigger. It's going to need a lot more space, and Springfield just doesn't have the venues that would take on that massive, undertaking under one roof, right? But their partnership with Mohegan Sun comes in perfectly because Mohegan Sun typically gets the ring ceremony that happens on Saturday night. So it's been flipped now so that Mohegan Sun gets the first end so that everyone can pile in Mohegan, which is a massive resort, and it can be accommodated there. And then I think, the typical presentation can happen at the Symphony Hall, but there's so much else that's going to go around it, all the media, all the different fans, all the different parties and things. And, moving Mohegan Sun just made a whole lot of sense. But with COVID, I honestly do not know how that's going to impact it. I know that it was moved around so that we could still have some sort of normalcy with it. You don't want to not do something really, really big for this class, which is, right, in my opinion, probably the best class we've seen. And then blow it out, give Mohegan Sun the ability to really host this and make it a special thing, and then the following year get closer back to normal.
Okay, that makes sense.
What's your typical role, Scott? So I know we've asked you about the NBRPA quite a bit, but what's your role within the Hall of Fame stuff and also the yearly events like this? Like, will you be there typically?
Oh, yeah, I will be there. So I sit on the board of trustees. And so they have a board of governors and board of trustees. Board of governors is like the real governing body. Board of trustees is more of a group of industry professionals who have a role in something basketball, high level related. You have USA Basketball, you've got NBA, NCAA people, a lot of NBA people, a whole lot of NBA officials and people who are involved in the industry. And again, it's more of I would say, advisory influencer type board where people can bring their resources and people to the table. And so with that said, we have board meetings throughout the year. We're updated on the financials and operations of the association, but we're not governing the Hall of Fame. Board of Governors is more involved in the nitty-gritty and decision-making on those things. There are votes here and there, but it really is more of an advisory thing. For Hall of Fame weekend, the Retired Players Association gets involved because each of those guys that goes in as a member of our association want to support them. So what we do is we do a players party the Thursday night. You have to think about it it's not Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday with regard to all the different events that are happening. So that Thursday night, there's a nice dinner that everyone comes in. We get like the Gaudi Award and all the media awards that happen. As soon as that dinner is over, we throw a big players party. Everyone who's in town. Again, Springfield's not a big bustling town, so if you throw a party somewhere, everyone kind of converges on it. And the players come in, hang out. You got 20, 25 of the orange jackets walking around, just seeing each other, having a good time. So that's the first step that we have is we host that party each year. And then on that Saturday after that Friday induction, we have our youth clinic at the Hall of Fame, where we bring in local kids, have them do a youth clinic. We do some life skills sessions and everything. And the Hall of Famers actually run the clinic. So we've had everyone who's coming on the class. It's funny because they have their induction that night, they party, and then we get them up at 8 a.m. the next morning to do a clinic. Some guys will make it. Some guys come in a little late, but everyone has a good time.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, if you need a couple backups to keep on call, Soapy and I are more than happy to run a couple layup drills in the morning if need be.
Well, no, we'll put you guys in with the 10-year-olds.
That'd be as high as I'd feel comfortable working with. I'm more of like a very, very fundamental skill set. So more like 6 to 7 year olds. But 10's fine. I'll train.
You guys, no. I was putting you in the group you guys would fit into in the layup lines. Now you're not instructing. Your guys going to be.
Oh no, I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested in instructing. With all due respect.
Yeah, we're strictly.
We'll talk offline.
We're strictly
Fair.
leaders. No, none of that.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Scott, come on.
Actually, like, I did email you the link to this conversation. I noticed you didn't tell me where Dan and I will have to pick up our credentials for that weekend in May. So like how do we do that?
Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, at Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
At Will Call, I assume.
Is there like a podcast table that we have to go to specifically just for us? Something like that?
At Mohegan Sun.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I think he said all he needs to say.
All right. That's fair.
Can those directions be any clearer, Soapy? Like, what else do you guys need this guy to tell you?
Hey, he's the guy in charge. I just want to make
All
sure.
right.
Mohegan Sun, Uncasville, Connecticut.
Connecticut. Got you. Okay, cool. Let's do this. We got about 10, 15 minutes left. We've been encouraging our fans to send us some mailbag type of questions and things like that. We're a little behind on them. So I was hoping we can knock out a few with you on the call, if that's okay.
Yeah,
some of them are sports related. We get a lot of weird shit. People want to talk about. Let's start with this one, because I don't know if you saw these, Soapy. They went to the podcast handle inbox. This is actually a good question. And I guess, Scott, I'll let you go first. I'm going to try and read this. What jersey uniform logo concepts would look best if switched between the NBA and the NFL? For example, the Celtics and Patriots trade logos, aka the Patriots colors and logo in basketball, and the Patriots wore like Celtics and stuff like that, which I think would actually be kind of a cool one. Any others jump out to you that you think might look dope on between football and basketball if you flip-flopped them? Even like Chicago, for example.
No, because
Trubisky with a nice bull on his helmet.
So if I'm thinking about the basketball side of it,
yeah,
I have to say the Dolphins colors on NBA jersey.
That's a good one.
That would be absolutely disgusting.
Tyler Hero in a nice teal Dolphins jersey. That would look fresh.
I mean, they're trying it now with the whole whatever.
Tricks yogurt.
The Vice, the thing. But no, that's the first one that pops in my mind. I think
that's a very good one. That's an all-time. I've said this before. That's like that. Those Dolphins are an all-time jersey helmet, like field 50-yard line, like logo concept. And for some reason, they only decide to wear them a handful of times, and I can never fathom why.
Drives me crazy. It should be the standard outfit.
100%.
I'm waiting for a team. To just decide. You know what? We're going to take throwbacks and wear a throwback the whole season.
They look better. Yeah, why not? Like, it goes back to our conversation about getting fans in the stands and entertainment. The cooler the court you have, the more likely I'd like to go there and see it, like in person, especially like if I'm a tourist or something like that. Like you posted today, Soap, I saw about, I think you retweeted something about the old Raptors one. That was a home run. Like with the Raptor at half court, the claws on like the elbow or whatever it was. And Hornets too. You mentioned Hornets earlier, Scott. I know they kind of brought the Hornets concept back, but it's not exactly the same, obviously.
No,
it's close. It's close enough. You know what?
Yeah.
The Hornets have to commit to full pinstripe.
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
If they commit, do whatever you do, everything else you do with the different treatment, but commit to the full pinstripe.
Got to go full pinstripe.
And don't fuck with it.
No.
Just let it be. I love Nike. Nike's the greatest basketball apparel company of all time.
Trust me, they endorse this show. We
right. I will feel that way as to the very minute that their contract with the NBA ends. But they're doing too much, and it's like
way too much.
And so like a lot of the City Edition jerseys are like very similar to the old school jersey. Just do a throwback. Just do the throwback.
They're similar, but like just shitty enough to not be as cool as like the actual throwback. Like there's one little thing that like one little tweak that just looks stupid and it ruins the whole thing.
A great example.
Well, there's a reason for it. Mitchell and Ness has a license for all throwbacks. So
Okay. Yeah.
I just feel like they could get closer. I feel like they could get closer than what they're doing and give us the nostalgia. Everything comes back around. Everything's coming back around.
Oh yeah.
Sitcoms, like Karate Kids came back as Cobra Kai. Like, why can't everything else just come back the way we want it to?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at some of those City Edition jerseys and I'm thinking this is trash.
Yes.
Big trash.
Big trash.
Big trash.
Far too many, and they're just a lot of them. I think at this point are just forced. Like this jersey doesn't need to exist, but they feel like they can sell more.
Forced.
It definitely, and I feel like a lot of it obviously comes down to money, right? I mean, the more jerseys we have, the more we can sell, right? Market shit like that. But yeah, I think Hornet, like I assume we're all thinking like the legit, like Larry Johnson, like Alonzo Mourning, like Hornets teal and white.
Yep.
Don't mess with it. I don't need to see Buzz City on fucking like a white and gold like jersey Gordon Hayward's wearing.
Dude, one of their courts is black this year.
Yeah. Quartz is another thing. Each team has like a handful of quartz now. Yeah, I saw it. It's not black. It's like dark light. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's. I mean, I'm colorblind, so I have no idea. But maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And
the whole point is, if basketball was good enough, basketball was good enough, we wouldn't have to do all this.
Right. Right.
So look, you get
good point.
You get the season going, and I think after this season, we get people who are really just like, okay, yeah, that's NBA's back, ratings are up. I think we'll see less of the gimmicks.
Right. That's fair.
It drives me crazy because I'm curious, but I do want to turn on the TV, see a team playing, and know what team it is.
Yes, that's a simple ask. I think very simple ask. So that's interesting about Mitchell. I always assumed Mitchell and Ness was just like a part of a bigger company. They're legit, straight up, 100% their own company.
Yeah,
Mitchell
they have.
I didn't know that.
They have the license for all throwbacks, anything.
Yeah, they're on fire. Mitchell and Ness has some fire stuff right now, and they have for a while because it's all the original logos that we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. Any you wanted to say so? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to say this earlier. One of the teams that's done a poor job, Scott. Have you seen the Pacers City Edition, where they went to the pinstripes and like the original jersey was black. This time they went like super dark navy blue with the yellow pinstripes, and I'm like, hold on, that's close. Why did you change the color? It's like perfect.
Well, to Scott's point, do you think that's an example of like the Mitchell and Ness copyright? They can't exactly do it.
It may be, but if I'm the NBA, I sit them down and I say, look, we need to do this. I'm sorry, we
enough's enough.
So who's gonna put them side by side? Who's gonna buy what? Am I gonna buy this new jersey that's close to it, or do I want to grab the real Pacers jersey that we grew up knowing and we equate to finals, Eastern Conference Finals over and over again. Reggie Miller, even Jalen Rose,
Malice at the Palace,
Davis, Antonio Davis.
Yeah.
Yes. No, Steven Jackson. Yeah. You're right. For sure.
What a day. What a game that was. What I would give to go back to that stadium.
I did have like two teams that could switch.
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I would love to see if the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pittsburgh Penguins switched colors. They would look. Oh man, if that team,
I want to see those old.
Just went all black and yellow.
No way, I wouldn't believe it. Those like jailbird Pittsburgh, the Josh McDaniels. No, I'm thinking the Broncos. I'm thinking the Josh McDaniels era Broncos jerseys.
Oh my god,
like the legit pinstripe joints. Yep. And then Pittsburgh had something similar too. They had like the bumblebee ones.
Yep. Didn't the Packers have something stupid?
Oh, that's the Packers. Yeah, the Packers
navy and like brown pants. Those must have. We joke about like old football on the show a lot. Those must have been the uniforms from like the 40s, like leather helmet, like Green Bay Packers uniforms.
I think the Chicago Bears like orange and dark blue. I think that would look funny on a bull.
I don't mind
like on a basketball jersey.
Are you a Bears fan?
It's the Knicks. I am. No, I'm definitely a Bears fan.
Playoffs.
Hey, good luck to you guys.
Department.
Good luck to you guys.
Who do you guys have? New Orleans. That'll be good.
Yeah,
that'll be a fight.
It's nice. It's nice to say that the Bears in the playoffs.
It is, especially when you had a 6-game losing streak not too long ago. Very impressive to do.
You said you're a betting man earlier. I would take the Bears.
Oh boy,
because dude, Drew Brees has a good amount of one and done in his career.
Yeah, what's the spread? It's big, right?
It's big. I think it's
13.
9.5.
Yeah,
That's big for the playoffs.
It's big, but as a betting man, I never bet on a favorite. Well, that's
Yeah, no, of course
Right.
not. No need to. You bet on boring games to make them interesting.
exactly.
All right.
But I tell you right now, I'm waiting for the Bears to make some changes before I really get back into the Bears.
Yeah.
You're talking to a Jay Cutler guy. To be honest with you.
Oh, good quarterback.
I say that publicly, and I say it proudly because what Jay ended up being in Chicago was a product of what didn't happen around him. When we first got there,
we're Patriots fans, buddy. We know. We have Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
We know about.
Wait, and you guys are tossing him out. You guys are tossing Cam out. What's
gladly, quickly.
I think
couldn't toss him out soon enough. I would have given him the Fresh Prince treatment weeks ago if I could.
Send him to Chicago. We'll take him.
Please. I'll trade you. You send us an offer sheet, Khalil Mack, and a pick for Cam Newton and N'Keal Harry. I'll sign it before you can say.
You can have N'Keal Harry for free.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I'm sorry. No, we're giving you Cam Newton. You're getting our our number 2 pick from 2017, Mitch Trubisky. Here we go.
Honest to God, I would do that deal. I would take Mitch over Cam.
That's not that far fetched.
I'm not kidding. Did he throw more than 5 touchdowns?
This is my last time talking to Boston sports fans about anything Patriots ever. Ever.
Okay. All right. Well, let's stay on track here. I just pulled. This is a great question.
Yeah, Rochelle's a fucking distraction every time he comes on this goddamn show.
God, Scott, you go first. Another question from our followers. This is a good one. You might have to think a little bit.
Hold on. He's got something to say. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott.
Wait,
please.
No, I love Boston people. I really do. I love you because you're so fucking spoiled. And it's just like
Jesus Christ.
You lose Tom Brady, and now there was no one who was going to come behind Tom Brady and be okay with you all. And you probably know that, and you accept it. It's just hilarious watching you guys get upset about this. This is great. We have 6 championships in 9 years, and yeah.
I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed in what I've seen from Cam Newton. That's all I'm gonna say.
Bro, trust me. I think Dan was saying this.
That was my biggest dad line in quite some time.
Yeah. I don't know how many touchdowns Mitchell Trubisky threw. I assume it multiplied Cam's 5 by, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times.
Well, actually, I don't even remember. Was he like the consistent starter this year? Didn't Nick Foles start here and there?
Yeah,
well?
we benched. Yeah,
I would take him.
So we stumbled into 5-1. Like it was the least impressive 5-1 you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so people were calling for Nick Foles game 3.
Yeah.
And we're 5-1.
Big
People
Dick
like,
Nick.
Switch the quarterback. Let's go. Nick comes in and doesn't give us any Philly magic. It's just like, what in the world? So then it's like let's go back and forth between the two of them until we stumble. I mean, 5-1. Well, won 2 games since then. It's just been so bad. Look, it's actually, all we asked for Chicago was a starter, someone who we could say is a real starter.
I thought you guys should have pulled the trigger on Jameis in the offseason, and Cam actually in the offseason. I think either of those guys would have sufficed. I don't think Trubisky and Cam is a good comparison. I think a better one is N'Keal Harry and Mitch Trubisky, because they're both taken way too high, and I think they're both in that scenario where it's like, we're pot committed. We have to give this guy a shot. Like if Mitch Trubisky was a 4th round pick, he'd be gone 2 years ago. Sure. I hope to God, same with N'Keal Harry. But it's just like when you're a 1st round pick, not to mention Trubisky was a 2nd overall pick. It's like you have to wait to justify it just so you can say, I told you so.
Yeah,
but eventually you got to make a business decision.
But again, like putting Nick Foles behind him, like Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP as a backup.
Yeah, I saw. I've heard.
And he's just not a starter. And so, until we get the starter, I'll watch and I'll be supportive. But my heart can't get into it until there's some real changes. I mean, they're hanging on to Mitch because of exactly what you said. You have to give it a chance and be able to say, well, we gave it everything we had. But,
boy, did they?
But it's time.
Well, I mean, the good news is it's not like there weren't really any other quarterbacks after that you could have taken. So you kind of just took the best that was available and you had to roll with them.
we had to move up to get him because there was passing.
My fault. Yes. You had to aggressively move up to make sure no one else took him. And whoever was left, they picked the scraps from there. But yeah.
I can't remember who else was in that draft. It wasn't a good QB year.
No one comes to mind.
We did the best we could.
Certainly tried.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on the Soapy before I move on?
I was going to ask kind of a related thing. What's the best experience in terms of so you root Bears, Bulls. Who are you baseball wise? You White Sox, right?
Oh, good question.
No, I'm a White Sox fan.
Okay. Bears, Bulls, White Sox. And I don't know if you have been to a Blackhawks game, but if you've been to all four of those things, what's the best experience?
Ooh.
Man, it has always been about the timing. I'll say this: Blackhawks games are consistently electric, regardless of whether or not they win Stanley Cups or not. Hawks games have an insane energy. I would say so. Cubs games don't have energy. It's a really big sports bar. I mean, Wrigley is basically just a massive beer garden. And I would say a third of the people there are crazy diehard fans. The other 2/3 are just out to have beers and just hang out.
So you go to Cubs games too?
Yeah. So I grew up North Side. So I grew up going to Cubs games, not really loving the team. I think Andre Dawson, Ryan Sandberg, those guys, they were guys, right? So, you knew them, you liked them. But the Sox teams that kind of came around when I was playing baseball and really enjoying baseball, just, they spoke to me more. But yeah, there's a sport event in the city that I haven't been to. No, I'm sorry. I've not been to a Chicago Fire game yet. That's the only
soccer?
Yeah, that's the only team I haven't been to. But
that's a cool name.
Yeah, I find my way around all the different teams and leagues. You get friends who may have tickets for something. Again, Cubs game's a good time. Don't get me wrong. Summertime, you want to be outside, have a good time, and roam Wrigleyville afterwards. It's cool. It's a great experience. But they count on that as the experience. Yeah. So if people come to town, they have to go see Wrigley. They have to go do that whole thing.
Yeah.
Go out, go to the bars, walk around. Doesn't mean that going to the stadium and having a beer and a hot dog at the stadium is anything more special than any other stadium I've been to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of like Fenway too. I think Fenway is like that type of field that's a tourist attraction enough to say, "Oh, I went to Fenway." But yeah, that's cool. Last question from what? Jesus.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Chicago Stadium, 100 times better than United Center, right?
When Jordan was playing,
yes,
because it was loud as hell.
Really?
It was like uncomfortably loud in Chicago Stadium when Jordan.
I can see that.
I went as a kid. I got to go to Chicago Stadium twice. And it was back when Jordan was really playing well. You had the waiting list for tickets was like 10 years long. So if you had a family friend who had tickets and they called you like 5 o'clock, say, "Hey, we can't go tonight. Use our tickets." We're like, "Yeah, we're there. We're going." And you go, it's a special thing. It was a really ratty place, but insanely loud, insanely electric. And that was by far the best experience I've ever had for a sporting event, was going to the old Chicago Stadium. Now, I like United Center because it's still like when the Bulls are good, it's still a fun place to watch a game. But that Chicago Stadium is crazy. Absolutely.
Jealous.
All right. Last question from me. This is the last one I picked from the letters from our fans. Scott, we'll start with you. Would you rather your breath smell like a fart or your laugh sound like a fart? And you work with a lot of people, so keep that in mind.
I laugh a lot too, though. So, I mean, that's the
funny guy. Yeah.
I enjoy laughter, man. It probably had to be breath,
I think I'd agree. I think that one's easier to explain to someone. Like, my breath just stinks. If you laugh and fart, I have some questions. Like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? But Toby, ironically, you suffer from both these conditions. So which one is the easier one to manage?
The one that I prefer, the one that I'll go out with.
What's your going out preference?
Yeah, if I can control one, I'd rather my laugh sound like a fart, 100%. Because I think the smell is such a deterrent. Like, dude, you talk to someone with bad breath, you don't want to fucking stand next to that person. Like, you got a good chance with a girl at the bar or something, and then all of a sudden you talk, smells like diarrhea. Good. That's not.
But you can control somewhat if you laugh or not. You can at least try.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you can try not to laugh.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to tell him like I do have a very funny laugh. So my bad.
That's fair. That's interesting.
Who wants to live a life where you're not laughing?
That's a great line. That's a great one. Put that on a
Confucius Rochelle over here.
Soapy, yeah. Come on. Look,
a life without laughing isn't worth living. That's what I always say. Even if it sounds like a fart.
Yeah.
Put that on. I'm putting that on Pinterest
if you two,
later.
You two live long enough, you understand how important laughter is.
I enjoy it thoroughly.
Who wrote that question? What kind of fans do you have?
Don't worry about it. I ask myself that every day. Those are actually two of the more kosher ones I chose for tonight. That's all I got. So, if anything else before we let this young man get back to his life?
I think I had one because I am really interested.
I'm sorry, Scott.
What do you,
Go ahead.
Scott? Because I know that you're a purist of the game, and I think obviously you work with a lot of guys who are also the same. What do you think is going on through people's heads, ex-players, when they see the James Harden like fucking fiasco unfold? This guy's just showing up with like titty dust at half court.
He's dropping
the jump
40.
ball.
He's dropping 40.
Yeah, he's dropping 40.
And he's fat.
And then he's dropping
gaining 40 and
after the game.
dropping 40. Yeah.
Well, first of all, James Harden is not a pioneer. Quote that. He is not a pioneer of this.
Breaking news. Okay.
That's true.
Come on. The first thing, you know what the first thing guys say?
Who else? Who's the most well-known? Well, I guess.
Well,
Rodman.
You do remember that Jordan had to pull Rodman out of Vegas.
I know. I said besides Rodman.
They're quite a few over
20
the course
years ago.
of time. So what the guys are doing now, looking at this, they're kind of saying, damn, I'm so glad I didn't play in 2020. That's what they're saying. They're saying,
very good point.
Thank God there are camera phones and social media. Because, James Harden gets a bad rap for doing some things here and there, but is he the pioneer? No. Is he the worst? Hell no. There have been so many.
You think he's not the worst right now? Right now, though, currently.
No, absolutely not. Because he drops 40, and he's polarizing because of his style of play.
Yeah, that's fair.
People are paying attention.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely like. Oh, God. I agree. There's probably like role players in the league who are animals. No one just cares enough to follow it. Right. So that's fair.
But so to answer your question, no. The first thing pops in guys' head is, thank God I don't play in this era because I wouldn't have made it.
I did see Jordan say something like that recently about like, man, I'm not sure what I would have done if social media was like this when I played. But I guess maybe I should clarify in terms of like, what do you think they think of how his behavior is not the off the court stuff, but him basically like kind of boycotting his own team for it. It doesn't seem like he wants to be there. Like, what do you think the ex-players think of that?
Well, so again, that's not new either, but I do think that crosses a line with certain players. I have heard people say, be as pissed off as you want the front office, be as unhappy as you want to, but when you get on the court, it's all business. I have heard that come out where players are saying, no. As long as the checks are being cashed, and you need to do your job on the court. As soon as you get off the court, you can MF anybody you want to. But while you're on the court, give your teammates and the team what they deserve. I mean, look, you got to think about it. There have been players over the course of time who have absolutely hated each other. Somebody has slept with someone's wife or something or whatever. Yeah. They get on the court, it's all business, and that's what it has to be. I think that's professionalism of professional sports. And so when that leaks into the play, again, if James Harden comes out and gives you 10 and 10 one night, then you got to say, all right, well, bro, like what's happening? Yeah, but I think he's trying to make a point. Look, I can do what I want. I can still give you buckets. I can come in out of shape. Under your opinion, I'm out of shape, but I'll still bust everybody's ass. That there's a difference between what athletes know and do and what the general public knows and can do. So.
Well, I will say the other difference this year too is obviously with the COVID guidelines and stuff too. Like you saw how, Houston already had a game postponed. Now that wasn't directly James Harden's fault 100%, but I don't think that helped. So in a way, the argument of, okay, I'm going to go out to the strip club, come back tomorrow and drop 50 is fine. Not now though. You can't justify doing that shit now because you're openly breaking league rules and potentially putting your teammates and other people at risk. if you he blatantly just doesn't care. I think he's been better since that one when he got really, the high profile one before the season.
Yeah.
But just looking at that incident alone, if I'm a veteran on the Rockets, it's like I don't have time to deal with this shit. Now, I can't even think of a veteran on the Rockets, but if there was one, like Boogie Cousins or someone, it's like, bro, I'm trying to make I'm trying to get my career back on track. I can't afford to risk missing games for close contact because you can't stay in your fucking hotel room for a week when we're in Atlanta. So I think that's the only real different wrinkle in this whole thing, which is kind of to your guys' point, kind of an FU to the team.
I just don't understand like his position in terms of how he feels about the Rockets management and front office, about their ability to put a team around him that can win. They've acquired all guys that he wanted there. Dwight Howard, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, and subsequently gotten rid of all those guys because he then didn't want them there. So like, I don't know. I just don't truly get his beef, and he's a talented player. I've just never been, I'm not a hater, but I don't really care for his game because I don't think it's fun to watch the machine gun dribble into a step back three. Doesn't really do it for me.
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
I absolutely
same
hate it. But I respect the fact that the professional, when he's at the top of his game, you're not stopping it. And there are a lot of players like that for me where I just go, I can't watch you play. I don't want to see you do your job the way you do it. Yeah. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say you're not a player. I'm not going to say that you're not an MVP candidate. I'm just don't want to see it. And so I'm with you on that, Sophie. I think he gets a lot of shit because people just don't want to watch him do what he does.
Yeah.
Traditionally the other team or fans of the other team, because they're usually getting 50 dropped on their head.
Exactly.
Yes, I would agree. I used to say the same shit about Kobe, like the later Kobe years, like the 24 Kobe in Boston. So this guy's going to come in, he's going to take the most ridiculous triple coverage shots, and 70% of them are going to go in, and I'm going to get really pissed. But like, I can't knock him for that. Same with like LeBron when he was doing his thing in the East. We talk about this all the time. No matter what happened in a playoff series with Boston, we could be up 3-0, 3-1. We could be up 50 at halftime. This dude is going to the finals. Like, it doesn't matter anything else that happens. So I don't even know why I waste my time watching these games.
The true professionals will get it done. And I think LeBron and Kobe are both great examples because I hated Kobe too when he was, kind of coming into his own because I'm a Jordan fan.
Yeah.
Every Jordan fan, anyone who sees Jordan as greatest of all time, has a natural reaction to anyone who challenges his throne, anyone who comes in. And the problem with Kobe wasn't just that he was good, it was that he emulated Michael.
Same dude.
Things he did. So it's kind of like, who do you think you are? But after a few years and a couple of championships, you're like, I know who he is now. He's that dude. Mm-hmm. Like, I respect him, and I became a Kobe fan. I hated him when he was beating up on the Blazers and the Sacramento Kings because I liked those teams, and I also did not want to see Phil Jackson take another team in three-peat.
Good point.
Three-peat belonged to the Bulls. And so, LeBron's dealing with the same thing right now where people are seeing LeBron in the frame of Jordan. Mm-hmm. And when they see him have success, every time he has success, that chips away a little bit more at the Jordan legacy to some people.
Yep.
And that's where the hatred comes from. It's not that he's a bad guy. Yeah, does he have some quirks about him that make him, sometimes unlikable? Does he flop? Does he grandstand? No. So what? The hatred really comes from the fact that he challenges what Jordan has established. Yep. And I mean, look, the Last Dance. The Last Dance was created in order to give Michael his pedestal back. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That whole project was about Michael reminding everybody that I'm still Michael Jordan. And I'm gonna tell you my story.
Some would say he took it personally.
Like this.
Yeah.
Well, he takes everything personally, right? So, with that, I think it's time for us to start taking players and reviewing them and giving them their flowers individually.
Yep.
I'm tired of the Jordan comparisons, mainly because there'll never be another Jordan, and that's a good thing. But the league should want to have a LeBron James. They should want to have a Steph Curry. They want to have guys in their own right who are doing things differently, different styles, different sizes. I mean, LeBron is a different kind of player. LeBron and Jordan aren't even. I mean, it's like I don't know, 4 inches and 50 pounds difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I've always thought the same thing.
So yeah, but yeah, it just frustrates me that they couldn't do that because we're missing the greatness of LeBron.
Right.
And for me to be a Jordan believer of him being the greatest of all time takes a lot. But I'm at a point now where I'm like, yeah, let's just go ahead and acknowledge his greatness.
Mm-hmm. Do you have LeBron number 2?
No.
Oh boy.
Absolutely not.
Top 20?
Top, yeah.
Comfortably.
Yeah, you know what? So what people like to do is they like to take all the players and put them in a list as if they're all on the same court at the same time.
Right,
And
exactly.
in doing that, of course, no one put LeBron in 1965 NBA, and he's gonna,
numbers.
They probably be like an X-Men, right? So it's not fair to do that. But you have to give, you have to give like Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give Kareem and Wilt,
Mm-hmm.
the respect that they deserve, and the Bill Russells of the world, and all those people. You have to give them what they've earned, the Oscar Robertsons of the world. And so by doing that, it's tough for me to put LeBron in that top 2 because I still believe there's work to be done on LeBron's half to be in the conversation with them. Is he the greatest player right now? Of course, era-wise, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But this isn't the first era. It's not the last era. But we have to realize that the NBA was started, almost 75 years ago. I think we're NBA 75 next year. There's a lot of basketball that happened, and there's a lot of guys who dominated at a higher level than LeBron did.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
So we can acknowledge that without saying he's not great now, but top 2.
Okay. All right. Sorry I asked. Good. So,
Scott, I'll wrap you.
You keep talking to a Jordan fan about LeBron, and
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna get testy after a while.
Yeah, that's good. That's all right.
All 3 of us are. I just pretend to be like less biased about it, but there's some times where I'm just like, I can't stand LeBron again. But
it's changed over time. It's like as I've gotten older, I've respected him more for what he does off the court and obviously on the court. But because when I was like, in high school and college, I didn't give a shit about what he did off the court. Like whatever. Faithful to his wife, good to his kids, started a school. Nah, no thanks. But now that I see this shit, that is phenomenal. But yeah, the other thing is like we're arguing where his all-time rank is against people who've been retired for 20 years. And he's still playing at an elite level. Like it's not, you're not going to want to hear this, but it's not absurd to think that he can still win another 2 or 3 rings in Los Angeles. If my math serves me correct, if he won 3, that would put him at 7.
Scott, I don't know what he's doing right now.
I'm just trying to do some math off the top of my head. But while I do the math, Soapy, go ahead. I'll get back to you with an answer shortly.
He's trying to piss me off. That's what he's trying to do. No,
but no, you know what I mean? It's like this dude's still fucking playing. Like, let him finish his career. Then we'll see how he compares to these guys who haven't played in 20 years.
But that can't happen because Jordan still has to be the greatest of all time. The goalposts are going to continue to move.
Besides that,
we're going to continue to move the goalpost around until he's just not the greatest. Because first it was rings,
Last Dance Part 2 coming to a theater near you the day LeBron retires.
I'll tell you right now, it's already in production. There is so much B-roll and everything else, and there's so many interviews on the cutting room floor. Last Dance 2 is going to happen.
Every Laker win, they film a new 5 minutes of the Last Dance.
Breaking news! I'm going to leak that.
What did he say?
He said that the Last Dance 2 is coming. And I know he said on the last interview that Scott spoke to like a lot of the guys that were involved, or personally that a lot of those guys were asked to participate. So that's kind of breaking news.
There's a lot of the run is over, right? The 6 championships happened, but there's so much content from that.
Oh hell yeah!
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it would be stupid not to take some sort of aggregation of all that.
Yeah.
And keep putting out content, especially if the documentary did so well.
Yeah. Definitely.
And people say it was just the timing of it. No, people were going to tune in no matter when. Everyone was going to watch that stuff. Everyone was going to watch it.
But it was on Sunday night. Like, what difference does it make if it was a pandemic or not? It's fucking Sunday night. Yeah, I agree. I was thinking to myself the other day, like, I would give anything, like, to go back. When was that? Like April, May, when it came out. Like, dude, those Sunday nights when they were airing live was so fun. Was so good. Following
the whole day was full of anticipation. Everyone was excited. Everyone had something to distract them from all the craziness of the world.
I would give anything to go back to that. Like, take like the Men in Black, like Mind Eraser, and just go back to April and like watch them all again. Oh man, better times.
Scott, I'll wrap you up on this one. Final
Mhm.
Chicago-centric question.
What's up?
I think we asked you a little bit about music last time, and there's some news that came out
boy.
today. Some
Oh,
news that
boy.
came out today. And I'm wondering if this changes your opinion on this person. So apparently, the Louis Vuitton Don, Kanye West,
Mhm.
and Kim Kardashian are about to split. They're on the rocks. They're about to divorce.
Who could have
He
saw it
went-
coming?
He
Right.
even went so far as to call her Kris Jong-un, Kris Jenner. So that being
That's a
said,
great
like, now
name.
that he's out of at least that like influence, will you play his music a little more? Just being a Chicago guy.
No, he still has that fucking red hat on. Get out of here.
I thought he wasn't
But
as much.
I never know with
It's-
him. Like
you
like
don't
one
come
day
back.
he
You don't
says
come back
that.
from it.
That's fair.
No,
Okay.
you don't come back from it. You call it a lapse in judgment, but he doubled down on it.
I don't call it a lapse in judgment.
No, he
Yeah, I'm
doubled
with you.
down on it.
Yeah.
He owned it, and for that, no. So, but my issue with him and his my issue with him has nothing to do with Kim.
Okay.
It really came down to putting on that red hat and saying hurtful
Yeah.
and just the damaging things he said, because I couldn't. I thought about it. I couldn't think of like what would be a legitimate reason for him to do this. He's worth $1 billion. Trump can't write him a check that he needs or he wants. Like what really is it about? And if it's just about the shits and giggles, if he thinks it's all for sport and he thinks it's a game, then I can't deal with him because it's not a game. It really isn't. The polls closed in Georgia. They're counting votes right now.
Yeah.
This isn't a game.
I agree.
This is life and death. And when you play with that and you think it's something you can just take your platform that's that massive and be that irresponsible with it, you just don't come back. But that's just my personal opinion on it. Professionally, if Kanye wants to come and support the NBRPA, brother, we got you. But personally, you know what I'm saying?
And he can put on a Red
personally,
Bulls hat.
Keep going. Yeah, that to me was just too distasteful.
You're out on Wayne too, right? I fully understand if the answer is yes.
Wayne's
No,
in
I'm
the
not
same
out on
camp,
Wayne because
right?
I think Wayne was looking for a pardon, bro. He's got charges pending. He's got
That's
like
true.
15
Wayne-
years.
That is fair.
All right.
Wayne had his
Yeah,
hand out. Yeah, that is a little different. That's a very good point. Yeah, I guess it's a very good point. Well, you always end these episodes on these down, like not happy notes.
No, it's not that happy. No, I'll tell you what. If I had 15, if I was looking at 15 years, boy, I have a whole red suit on.
Get me a meeting with Donald Trump. Yeah.
I'd be dancing out like crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on.
Are you
I'm not
excited
broke in
for
jail.
Are you excited for the aliens to come in 2021? Because that's definitely happening, right? Speaking of Lil Wayne.
If they didn't come in 2020, then it's over. They missed their window.
I don't know. I'm still giving them a chance. I'm giving them a grace period.
Yeah,
I'll give
maybe
them
they're
Q1.
waiting for things to die down a little bit so that they could have all the attention.
Ooh, poor word choice, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. No, it'll be an interesting couple of days.
Yeah,
I might just cancel my cable and turn off my internet for the next few days.
If things don't go the way I want them to, I'm definitely gonna have to put the Twitter away for a little bit because
I was gonna say we could start our own Canadian team. Let's expand our own team. We need to start our own Canadian team.
We gotta go farther than Canada, bro. If things don't go the way we want them to.
North Pole has been itching for a sports franchise in recent time.
Yeah, let's go to a different country, Alaska.
With that, all right, we'll let you go, brother.
The same viewership as you had in New Orleans.
Probably. All right, Scott Rochelle, the man, the myth, the legend. What's your Twitter handle and everything again? Where can people follow you?
So I'm at Scott Rochelle _
nice.
on Twitter, and just at Scott Rochelle on Instagram. And most importantly, it's at NBA Alumni for the association. That's where we have a lot of good content coming out.
That's a great follow. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and then
what's your handle on Parler?
At the real Scott Rochelle.
Hey,
MAGA Scott.
If the feds had 15 years waiting for me, look, when the feds had 15 years for me, it's going to be at _ MAGA Scott.
Yeah. The red rifle himself.
Magatron.
All right, brother. Good talking to you, man.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Always fun.
Later, bud.
Appreciate it, bro.